Hello, I am here with the Sci-Fi Sistas. My name is Samora Smallwood. I am an actress, writer, producer, creator, and advocate, and I'm so excited to get into the nitty-gritty today of, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what, but I am here for the vibes and the adventure. So let's do it with the Sci-Fi Sistas.
Everybody, welcome to the Sci-Fi Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. I'm the host, Tamia Harper, and I'm joined today by my sisters, Yvette Blackman-Tom.
Hello.
Sabrina Wood.
Whoop, whoop.
And Fran T.
What's happening, y'all?
What's happening, Fran? We got a great guest with us today. We're really excited. You know how we like to... Our mission is to shine a light on Black thought, Black creativity in this world. And we have a sister with us who we just adore. And I mean adore, because let me tell you, when I saw her on Star Trek Discovery, I said, I know that sister. I said, where do I know this sister from? I know this sister. I know this sister from like a bunch of the shows that I watch all the time. I was like, oh, that's her. Murdoch Mysteries. You were on The Expanse. I recognized you on The Expanse. I was like, I know that sister. Designated Survivor and the Sabrina's Jam from the Hallmark Channel, The Way Home. Because Sabrina's a Hallmark girl.
Nice.
So we know her name, y'all, is none other than Samora Smallwood, and we are so proud to have this sister on the show with us. Welcome.
Yay! What is up? What an intro. I love it. Here with Sci-Fi Sistas.
Thank you so much.
She said it right.
I know, right? Yeah. She's one of us, just so.
Straight.
Of us.
We are really excited to have you on the show. You work a lot. And that makes us really happy because I see you putting, not just because of your talent, but because you're representing, on every show that you're in, and with grace and with dignity, and you stand out on that screen. It's just amazing to watch you. And I love the fact that we could track you in all these different roles, but we can still see you, the essence of you in them. I mean, you bring something really beautiful and strong to the stage. And when I started digging down a little bit more, and I'm like, this sister has grit.
Oh, I love that word. Words.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
You I heard you say on another show, you got the hustle vibe, but I think it's a lot more than that. It's the grit. In order to have lots of people have hustle, but they don't have any stick-to-itiveness or anything, and you got a lot more behind you. And what I found fascinating, that you were talking about your coming home journey. I'm all sorts of in love with that. Can you please tell our audience about the coming home journey?
Tamia, I'm obsessed with you right now. I'm so that is the first thing that you want to talk about, because it is really important to me to represent. And one of the things closest to my heart, and why I always include advocacy in my introduction, is because whenever you enter a space and you come from a traditionally marginalized or historically excluded community, you do have more responsibility than the average person. And I think to pretend that you don't is naive. And especially in this historical moment that we're in now, we see how important that is. So the coming home journey for me is basically, you were talking before we hopped on about your mom. And it's a lot about honoring the women and the men and our ancestors that came before us, but especially the women who came before us and paved the way for who we are. So coming home means we are so lucky and privileged to be in this moment where we get to pursue our passions. Right now, We are on this call talking about our passion. That in and of itself is a huge privilege. So I am one of those people who, no matter how geeky it sounds, I'm always aware of that in the moment. So I try and pay homage to my ancestors in a moment like that, because the women who came before us didn't get to do that kind of stuff. So coming home is about saying, like, what does it mean for me to live in my authentic power? What does it mean for me to let go of people pleasing and seeking external validation and trying to be somebody people choose?
See, this is why I wanted to talk about this right off the bat.
Right here.
We're all on that journey right now.
Right? Because it's so hard, especially when you're at an intersection of being a woman and a woman of color. And it's one of those things where you really have to think about it and say, I get to be free. And what does it mean if I am my authentic self? And for me personally, I've realized that in order to be big and be bold and be a dangerous motherfucker, it means letting go and, holding in with respect some of those things that our ancestors couldn't be loud and dangerous and bold in their authentic selves in order to simply be safe. So whenever I go into a space, I go onto a set, even going into, you mentioned Star Trek Discovery, and walking in on the Enterprise, the bridge, and just like feeling the emotion of that moment of saying, like, wow, look at this life I get to do. So I'm very committed to owning my authentic voice and stepping into my power. I think we, especially as women and women of color, we have a lot more power than we've been given credit for.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? One more time, just for those people in the back.
Color, especially Black women, have a lot more power than we have been given credit for. And this is one of those moments where I always quote my girl, not in the real world, but one day we will be friends. In my imagination, we are besties, Michelle Obama, who says, you go to those tables sometimes, those places, those spaces you've been excluded from, and you realize that the people in those spaces aren't as smart as you've been told they are. And you actually probably are a lot more capable and a lot more smart than you've been given credit for. So that's what coming home is. And we have 100 members so far, and I'm so excited. Because that's what we do.
You have 100 people in it now?
100 members so far, and we meet once monthly. Right now, I'm just trying to follow my passion and my purpose to what God, Spirit, the universe has tasked me to do. So it's not a brass tacks figured out just yet, but right now we meet once a month, and we have members from all over the world. On our last call, we had women calling in from places like Ireland, Jamaica, California, all over the world, jumping on the call. And then we do an in-person one, and it is just about coming home to your power and giving a voice to sometimes that little teeny tiny whisper in your heart of what you really believe you're capable of. And the more I do that, the more I see my life transform, the more I believe and have faith in what I'm capable of. So it was just on my heart for a long, long time to bring that to the community. So now that's what we do. And we have 100 members so far. So it's pretty cool.
I don't know. You may have a couple more members by the time this is over.
Right?
Right? Yeah. Come and join us. We want you to, because we give testimony and we speak to what we know our lived experience is. And it's so beautiful when a community comes together and says, we're going to change the game. We are cycle breakers. And you do that with love and respect for the people that came before you, especially the women that came before you. But you say, whatever you sacrificed and however you laid the groundwork for us, we're going to make the most of it.
Oh,
I love that. Cycle breakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write that down, Sabrina.
I got that down. Yeah.
She already wrote it. I saw.
Now, I have a quote of something else when you said you talked about this once before, because this I want everybody to get. It is not someone talking about what I want to think about that's manifest. She is working on this. She has this platform already that you can come along and join. And one of the things you talked about was being able to manifest your dream and achieve your goals. And to do that, sometimes you have to lose sight of the shore. I was like, whoa. Sometimes it gets a little scary out there, but this is what this group is about. It's about getting scared and doing the do.
Doing the work.
Do your work.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's it.
So deep.
You just gave me goosebumps again.
I mean, I love that because, what I love too is that it's a group that, there's a we involved, because I feel like we as individuals, we're always at our most powerful when we're together, when we work together. I mean, this is the concept behind Sci-Fi Sistas. We knew like there's four of us. Like we're not one of us is going to be responsible for everything, nor should we be expected to be, or because we all have these different talents, we bring them together and we create this one thing that is beautiful, you know, and we rely on each other now in a way. And I love that collective spirit of being, because, you know, when you're having a hard day, when you don't know which way to go, when you need professional advice, or when you need like home advice, or your head is just spinning because it's just been so much, who do you go to? Like the world can be an extremely lonely place. And I think it's one of the greatest fallacies of Western philosophy is that like you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do it yourself. Like nobody in the history of anything has ever done a damn thing all by themselves. Like there's always a group of people who are doing things, you know?
It is so true.
Yeah, it is.
And there are no bootstraps when you're barefoot.
You got that.
Thank
right.
you. See, there she goes again. See that now that's my turn for the goosebumps.
You know what I'm saying? So many of those turns of phrases are not applicable to every single group. But that is literally what made me double down on my manifesto shit journey. I hope you have the ability.
I love that.
No, we don't beat that. That's a sign of intelligence. You know how to use words correctly.
But that is the whole ethos behind it as a mantra, is because we have to stay aware of your message and how it can be so overwhelming with the way the world is to feel like, how can I possibly make good change from where I am? But that's how, when you stick to that message and you understand that we are responsible for our own private personal community. And I have a ripple effect where I'm at, you have one, you have one, you have one. So when you understand that, for me, if you have anxiety or when the fear and the worry kicks in, especially when you're chasing big dreams, like some of that stuff is generational that we're carrying, right? And some of those bags are generational, and to rewire your brain to say, for me, my own personal journey, I'll only speak for myself, for me to say, when I am bold, when I am dangerous, when I'm chasing my biggest ideas, I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes it comes along with some fear and some worry and some anxiety, and I just want to be safe. But that's vestigial. It's the same thing that says, you know, you walk across that street, girl, you're about to get hit by that truck unless you move at a certain clip. Don't touch the stove, it's hot. So that's that same thing, especially for our communities, that says keep yourself safe. So when that is the biggest reason why I wanted to create a place, and my mantra became manifest your shit, because when I started to really get into my manifestation bag and my breath work and my healing and my meditation, I felt so othered, just to keep it like real, when I would go online and look for a space. It was never someone I understood. It was never someone who came from where I came from. It felt so privileged. It felt so othered that I was like, you know, I need something that like I could belong to. I need something that makes me feel like I belong. And then just, it's who I am to invite others to come along. And when you talk about losing sight of the shore, especially in the climate today, realizing that immigrants and the people that we come from who said, I am going to lose sight of every single thing I know and every single person I'm familiar with in order to create X, Y, and Z for the future. That is a bravery and a courage that we have the ability to call on. That is just, that's my whole thing. So when I get the anxiety and the fear and the worry, I just try to remember that's just the feeling of being in a new part of the woods.
Right.
I'm taking a risk. I'm doing something new, but I've done it scared before. I'll do it scared now, and I'll be okay.
You know, we just got back from Star Trek Las Vegas, and we basically experienced this entire conversation.
It really did.
So we just went through it, where we were doing things that each one of us, I think, was just totally terrified at one point during Star Trek Las Vegas, because we were doing something that we had not done before, but we were all together. And we talked each other, you know, through the just paralysis of, you're on next. Like, no.
But it was the journey that we were supposed to be on. And I think that's what got us through it, because we knew this was supposed to happen. All these things we knew.
Because Fran told us.
Right.
That's Fran told us. Right. Exactly.
Fran manifested this years before. Right. Just this whole journey, right. Fran actually was the manifester.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, and there's an old saying, let that sin will turn his mother out.
I'm writing that down.
So when we were researching your background and things for this podcast, I just felt so simpatico with what you were saying and what you were trying to do not trying to do, but doing. And I felt really just, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to. I know we're going to talk about Star Trek. We always get it back to Star Trek, but there's so much else about you and what you're doing that I am so glad to have you here tonight.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much.
I'm thinking like a couple of thoughts that, like, as we've been talking. One, I was thinking about how magic it would be it must have been for you and Sonequa Martin Green to be on that set together, because y'all seem, very simpatico is the word in outlook and intent, and did you guys mesh like that? I mean, like, was it just like, ooh, superpowers, Wonder Twin powers activate when you two?
Well, it's unbelievable because, I promised God, Spirit, Universe, I was going to stop saying it was unbelievable. It was magical. It was magical because I had been such a fan of hers, especially from The Walking Dead, because to imbue a story with that much heart and that much depth as an actor is so important. So I always call it the heart hitters whenever you're doing work, especially when you're in a sci-fi world or a thriller or a world that doesn't always have that much heart. It's so important. So Sonequa is like the queen of doing that. So I was so excited to join. And then the episodes that you saw me in Star Trek Discovery are some of the most important episodes for that character's journey. So to go from point A of saying, and like, I grew up in a Star Trek household. My mom, when I was little, my mom is a Newfoundlander. She's the white person in my biological makeup. My father is a West African, but my mom is the one who would give me Baldwin and Toni Morrison and would show me Nichelle Nichols and be like, this is the world. This is what you could be a part of and where you come from. And it was really, really important. So knowing that I wanted to be on Star Trek and then getting this audition, and that was actually, Sonequa Martin Green was a big part of that, because I knew in the audition piece, I hope this isn't breaking the rules, but I feel like the NDA has expired. Knowing that that's the journey that character is going on, that was a huge part of my audition piece, was the respect and the admiration. And then for me, as a woman of color, a biracial Black woman, to add the extra respect and love to see this Black woman in space. And she's a hero and she's going to do the right thing. And she is the one that everybody is looking to make it right. Honestly, like, it still touches my heart to this day. So being on set and doing the role, it's really unusual to see someone like in the film and TV world to lift the veil a little bit. I've been the number one on a production a couple of times now. And the number one means you are the lead. You have the most lines. You have a lot of responsibility.
First on the call sheet.
Oh, right? Yeah. First in a call sheet. It's not because it usually means you're making the most money, but a lot of responsibility. And the times that I've been number one, you see that it's your job to kind of create the culture on a set, because you are kind of dictating. Everyone's looking to you to see how you're going to treat everybody from the top of the top of the top down to anybody who's in crew, in background, the day player actors. So that was one of the greatest things about Sonequa Martin Green, because she carves out that time and has this capacity within her soul to give that attention to every single person. Obviously, I was playing the navigator of the Enterprise. So
yes, girl. Yes.
Yeah, you were. She was going to chop it up. But to see how she would do that for every single person. And on top of that, when I joined the show, she had a very young son. And she would have her son at work. and her mom would be at work and would help her. And she really advocated for creating a space where women could have a balance between their family and their job. And I just remember sitting there and we would all be talking, she, me, Rebecca Anson, and I would just like, this woman is the kind of woman and mother that I want to be. And I just want to throw a, respect and love. I think her mom has since passed since we did the show, but to see how she would then go to set and be boom. And the director of our episodes was Olatunde Osunsanme, who is absolutely phenomenal person, a friend of mine. I consider this man and his wife, they're so amazing. And to see the way, like with a precision and a tactician that they would go in and adjust the performance was one of those moments in my life where I realized, you can really just trust yourself to have the scope to do it all. And to see that when you're in charge, you're the number one on a set, you can really set the culture to be kind, welcoming, and curious and excited. And to know that, she was going to do all of her lead stuff and everybody still wants a piece. And she would go around to every single person and be like, how are you? Who are you? Let's get our pictures. Why do you care about Star Trek? And it was just
oh, wow.
one of those opportunities for me where I could see how you can be a number one. Because on the flip side of it, I have been on some sets where the number one is not a Sonequa Martin Green, and they do not make it a very warm and loving environment. It gets tight, and it gets tight very fast.
Heard that, yeah.
True that. But also, I think it is the legacy of Black women in general to have that capacity to do it all, make it look easy, and do it well. So,
don't we know?
Girl, that's I was sitting here like I'm not like instantly on with the next thing because I'm digesting all of that. That was I am like totally eating it up, and because this conversation already has, this is the best thing that can happen in a conversation when my brain starts popcorning a little bit, because there's connections going on, and that means that there's thought happening in the background, and I'm thinking like when you're talking about Black women doing it all, I'm thinking about my mother. I'm thinking about all these women that I know in my life who, in whatever role they played in the world, right? Whether from a teacher to a diva, everybody, these women had to suit up and show up every day and act like the hurts of the world weren't hurting them.
Right. Like it didn't matter.
And be there for us kids or their partners or whomever, or just themselves. And usually we're there for somebody else, but it's okay. It's just, I think right now I'm pretty emotional.
Same.
I think that's what's going on. I just saw last night a Black woman accept the nomination for President of the United States.
Yep.
Last night was lit.
Let me just tell you.
Yeah, I've been in my feelings, and we're dealing with a lot on a global scale, especially if you are in these streets and trying to keep abreast of what's going on in the world. I think we're so used to having that armor on that letting yourself be tenderhearted is a really valiant thing.
I think that's what happened last night. We've been attacked probably all our lives, and then last night we were able to let it down. I know I have. Like I was telling the sisters, we finally made a statement about a political statement that we never did before. And for me, I know last night was, it was a lot. I mean, the emotions were amazing because from 30 years of government service, I wasn't able to tell anybody what my politicals was, how I felt politically, how I felt about my country that I served. And last night, I could shout it. I could feel it. I could cry. I could clap. I could get up, all of that. And like Tamia said, I think we're all in our feelings. And it's new for a lot of us. It's really new.
Yeah.
We got in our feelings because we were angry or we were protecting. This is feelings for us as Black women. And I think we all feel it. I think the minute you said that to me, I felt it even more, Yeah. So I get that. I get that.
So, Fran and I are of an age where, last night was really something because I remember when Shirley Chisholm was running. Yeah. And in fact, I have a picture of Shirley Chisholm on this laptop that I'm using right now.
Hold your folding chair.
That's it.
And Miss Chisholm was serious. She
was.
Oh, and the mess that she had to go through and the indignities that they did to her campaign, and to see this last night in my lifetime, I feel sometimes that it's amazing to me what we've seen. I mean, coming from being excited because a Black woman was on a TV show.
Yes.
That was the big thing of our lives when we were little, that, oh my God, Mom, she's not a maid.
Right.
To accepting the nomination for president of the United States. I'm like, I have lived a life. Thank you, Jesus.
I hope you can see my goosebumps.
Yes. You're not alone. Me too.
Yeah.
It really is. So I have a funny story. So my sister and I, my father's West African, but he absconded. And then my mom married a wonderful man who I consider my dad, and he was from St. Louis. So my sister and I wanted to do this road trip, a long story short. And we started in Detroit, went through Chicago. And one of the places we spent a few days in, we spent 4 or 5 days in New Orleans. And I go to this cafe. My sister's upstairs in the hotel room. I'm ordering us food. And there's this woman. She must have been 60 or 70 years old, this Black woman. And she's looking at me. And New Orleans is hot, okay? You are sticky. So you're not looking at it looks like now. I had this mug tied back. And she's looking at me and she says, "What is you?" And I said, "Excuse me. I think I'm a human being, lady." But I knew what she was asking, obviously. She's a Black woman. I'm like, I tell her my whole deal. And it's about to be her break. She wants to know if I want to sit with her. And it kind of God, spirit, universe, whatever you believe in, worked out perfectly because my sister's upstairs in the room. I can go and sit on this bench and have this break with this woman, Missy. Oh my God, I get so emotional thinking about it. She's telling me about the history of New Orleans and people like me who were high yellow or mixed race, and just schooling me on the whole history of New Orleans. And we're sitting there talking, she's smoking the cigarette. And she was talking about when Barack Obama had been running for president, her grandmother who raised her, and the meaning that it had for them at that time. And that the night that they did the whole tally and Barack Obama was named president of the United States, her grandmother passed away that night. And she said her grandmother looked at her. It was in her living room. Her grandmother passed away, and she said her grandmother looked at her with a smile on her face. And it was just it's just one of those things you can't explain to somebody who doesn't get it. It's just been so special. So the group Win with Black Women is doing this call every Sunday night.
Yes.
You hop on and you can just hop on.
Yep.
It's been so amazing to just feel that feeling. And the cool thing about it is no one can take it from us.
No one.
Right.
Like no one can take it from us, no matter what happens. I have all the positivity and the optimism in the world, and Kamala Harris deserves to be president of the United States, but no one can take that from us. But in this moment, I'm always thinking about that woman, Missy, who we sat with, and she was like an older Black woman and just talking about the horrific things that had gone on. Her entire family was from New Orleans, Louisiana. And just talking about that power of that moment. And just this past week, I've just been thinking so much about her and how much it's been resonating that her grandmother passed away with a smile on her face, and just the meaning for her, because this woman was 60 or 70 at the time that Barack Obama was nominated. And I remember doing the math and being like, okay, so her grandmother must have been born. And then when I realized, oh my God, her grandmother was born in a time where within her lifetime, she got to see things go from a plantation era to this man, his wife and his family. And it's not just to me, like I know whatever people can say what they want, but it's not just checking a box like Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. We saw it at the DNC. They're good people.
They are.
They are people of character. And they, like me and my friends were saying, I just want to die and have somebody look at me the way people in that audience were looking at Barack. Can you just manifest that? Can someone before we die look at me that way?
Right. Get that.
I get that.
So it makes sense that we're all feeling totally emo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. We need it as Black women. We need that. We don't get to do this, and this is not normal unfortunately for Black women to feel so empowered about themselves. We're always empowering other people. I've been saying, I was like, we're finally getting a piece of the pie. We're not just making the pie. We're always doing stuff for other people.
I think when I go to her inaugurate, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Fran.
I think because I went when Barack Obama to his first inauguration, and it was really, really cold out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
And because the reflecting booth had ice in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was telling this lady today, I said, but when he came out and they did the thing, we didn't feel cold.
Nobody was cold.
Nobody was cold.
Nobody was cold. I was standing there and tears were coming down my face.
That's right.
And I wasn't cold.
No.
Later on I got cold again.
But you're trying to get out of there.
Let me tell you, because out there.
I'm at the age that I remember, and I've said this before on the show. I remember when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and my guardian had me by the hand, and we were getting ready to get on the bus. And she said to me, and she was serious, she said, when you get on the bus, always go to the back.
Mm-hmm.
She actually said that to me, and she had me by the hand then. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. But even that young, I'm wondering, why are we walking all the way? But, you don't question. We didn't question our elders then. We didn't say, well, why? But that, in that way. But I remember that. And for me to stand there and see a Black man take the presidential oath, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. And all the code. And then when Sister Riri sung with the hat, oh, good. Nobody can take that away from us.
She had that warm coat on too.
That's right.
I remember that.
That's right. She had that warm. She did have that warm coat on. I remember being out there. I think we got out there at I think I left because I only live really 10 minutes away from. DC is so small. DC is a really, I think a lot of, yeah. I just Midtown DC, so I can get a lot of places really fast from where I am. But the subway took forever. And we left my house, and I live a block away at that time I lived a block away from the subway. And we left my apartment at 7:00 in the morning. Or something, and it took us over an hour to get down there because we had to. The subway was so crowded with people. Wow. We had to wait for so many trains, to go. And
it was a party.
Yeah. It was a party. Everybody was happy.
You didn't even care, right? It was.
Hey, let me tell you, people don't know. Living in DC, you are used to inaugurations, right? Mm-hmm. We've been there, done that, and you can always tell. The city will get depressed or it'll get happy. George Bush came into office and it was all of a sudden all these Texans and cowboy hats and cowboy boots started coming in town. This city was so damn sad. We were depressed as all hell. And then you got Bill Clinton and this city was like, woo, woo. Yeah, but we've been there, done that. But this was unlike anything we'd ever seen before for Barack. It was amazing. It was amazing. And it's about to come again, because
it is.
We're going to get this woman in the White House. And I don't care what you said, about they can't take that away. Nobody can take this away from us, because the detractors are there. They're fighting so hard. They are fighting so hard. And then, I'm going to tell you, Black people who are listening out there and other people who are not Black who might be listening out there, just because you're Black don't mean you're down. And there's some of us that they have history. Their history goes back to, the Uncle Toms and stuff and the ones who worked in the field who were the overseers and stuff, and the ones who helped go track down other slaves who were running away. And they have a different story. And you know what? Let them.
Yes.
Let them have their story.
Yep.
It's fine, because you know why? Because we got this.
That's right.
We got this. And when you were talking about being lost and not being able to see the shore, I immediately started thinking about our visits to the National Museum of African American Art and Culture and History.
Wow.
Which I'm sure I got those words mixed up because I always get that name wrong. I call it the Black.
I was like, which one is that?
Yeah, well, I know. We're all like, oh, you mean the Blacksonian?
Yeah, the Blacksonian.
The Blacksonian.
The Blackety Black Museum, the Blacksonian. I just went there again recently. So with I took my employees, my staff down. We just took a trip down there. I always think about when you go to that museum, they start you out from the elevator in the basement, and there's sounds of waves as you come out onto the floor. It's dark, and there's these waves crashing sounds, and then you're surrounded by names carved into the walls of slave ships, and it just goes on for rooms and rooms and rooms. And if anybody is familiar with like the Vietnam War Memorial with the names carved into the wall, it's really similar to that. And then you go to other rooms and there's the names, the descriptions of the ads of the people who were being sold. And that goes on for rooms and rooms and rooms. And you're in the hold of the ship, basically, that metaphorically, that's what they have designed this building for you to be like. And when you were talking about not being able to see the shore, my brain immediately went back to that. Those people could not see the shore. You know, many of them went ahead and gave their lives and jumped overboard rather than being taken captive to this new place and took their children with them. You know, so when I'm not at shore now, I'm always going to remember that from this conversation. And I'm going to remember the spirits of those ancestors in those waves with me and know that I got this because they got me.
Yeah.
100%.
I got some friends and we have already made our reservations, but I did tell one of my best friends, I said, well, y'all can do what you want to do, but I got somebody I can stay with.
Yes, her name is Sister Tamia and Sister Sabrina.
I got somebody. Y'all can mess around if you want to.
That's right. Mess around and find out. I'll be out.
We're right here.
We're all a little gun shy because we saw what happened when we thought the first woman would be made president. But, you know, I'm a very spiritual person, and I do believe in God, and I think everything's working and unfolding the way that it's supposed to. But it is I try to, when I get the anxiety every day, because I got my heart broken so much at that time, because, you know, so many of us believe there's no way this person is going to be president of a country. There's no way. There's just no way. But I think we went through that, and I think now people are a lot wiser. And I think we really understand, especially like Black folks, we've been through so much from 2016 to now, culturally, globally, and understanding we have a lot of power. And like, we were inside, we were all the way inside when the protests went on, and we watched what happened with George Floyd and Sandra Bland. And it was just one thing after the other, Jacob Blake. And it was just like, whoa, we're not going to deal with this bullshit. And we got to figure out a way to handle our shit. And we have got to say enough is enough. And then I think in little silos all over the place, people started to really wake up to that. I honestly do not mean to make it sound trite or small. It's been a huge thing. But what I see now is I have a lot more like security on the inside. So you're smart. That's my long-winded way, Fran, of saying you're smart. You have your plans.
We made plans for Barack Obama when he won Iowa. He won the Iowa primary, and it was months. And at the end of our team meeting, my team leader said, y'all got anything? I said, yeah, I need whatever that date was. I said, I'm gonna have to have that off because I'm gonna be at the inauguration. This was months before the election. Laughed at me. I was serious. Yeah, and I got that same feeling now. I have that same outlook now.
Yeah. Let me tell you, the day that Joe Biden said, I'm withdrawing, I'm endorsing Kamala, boom, the hotels were sold out.
Sold out.
That day. Like within hours, that day. Yep. One of my girlfriends, she said, let me get this. She got 4 hotel rooms. She said, because
Does she don't have no friend to live in DC?
She said, yeah, sure she does. She don't want to stay. She's a grown ass woman. She wants her space. You know, she was like, I don't do that. No, thank you. She does not. So she was like, no, I got, she said 4, she can take her pick of which one's going to be the best. And then she can get the rest can go to her friends who are looking for places. Every hotel in this city and in its surrounding areas is sold out. Yep. So y'all listening, if you didn't get your room, you are ass out.
You're gonna have to come and not have a room. But you know what's so interesting too is I found myself getting so riled up about the whole conversation because it's not been that long since Joe Biden did make this decision, and Congress was ready. And this is what's so beautiful about Black women is, you know, you don't have to get ready. Like she was ready. She had people, they were all ready. You do not launch a campaign like this and have white women for Kamala Harris, bakers for Kamala Harris, Chihuahua for Kamala Harris. Have all that. If you weren't planning and understanding the moment that you were in historically. But I would get so riled up when the whole moment was happening where they're saying, well, she's not even Black. She's this. And she pandered to the community. And for me as a biracial woman who often has felt, you know, I don't belong over here. I'm never white enough for in my industry, in the acting world, not white enough to check a box to play a white person. But then sometimes, and justifiably so, sometimes an actor should be Blacker than I am to be representative in certain roles. But then there are other times that when you talked about Shirley Chisholm, one of my mentors is Janine Sherman-Bourgeois, who is one of the most prolific writers, showrunners in Hollywood, a Black woman. She's amazing. She was just in the Hollywood Reporter for her support behind Kamala Harris. When I did The Kings of Napa with them, which Oprah Winfrey produced, I was so nervous to do the audition. And this woman is described as this powerful doctor, this Black woman, and all those feelings of not being Black enough came up. But, you know, you see Oprah Winfrey's name, Janine Sherman-Bourgeois, Oscar winner Matthew Cherry. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this audition. We're going to see what happens. And then joining the cast and hearing in the first table read, you know, an Oprah Winfrey and a Janine Sherman-Bourgeois want to know, like, how you brought that character to life and choosing where she comes from and how she sounds, and knowing that it is their mandate to amplify the spectrum of Blackness that includes somebody like me who is, you know, biracial Black, and you look at me and I'm very ambiguous. So I felt so riled up when the conversations would come up around Kamala Harris and so triggered. And it was so lovely to see people say, you can't have it both those ways. You can't say that she's not Black enough when she is vying for the most powerful position ostensibly in the world. But then when you want to exclude her from certain access and certain privilege, then she is a Black woman. Like, and it was so beautiful to see how culturally, because we have a long way to go in the world and to eradicate racism, especially for women of color, women in general. But to see that moment of people come together and say, no, you're not pulling that crap. You're not pulling that crap and trying to disavow this powerful block of people, Black women especially, who are saying this moment means something to us. And you aren't going to pull your little bull crap on us in this moment. Was for me too, like a huge moment of saying maybe we're reaching that place of understanding what a nuanced diversity is. Because I wrote a piece for the Toronto Star for Black History Month about nuanced diversity. And so to come into that place and see that understanding and the excitement makes me like, y'all are gonna F around and find out. I'm so excited.
Right?
Exactly.
I love it. You know, go ahead, Sabrina.
No, I'm just, my head is spinning, but I really do want to bring it back to, you just said something that you just wrote a piece. Like, so she just dropped that. Did you hear she just dropped that?
I know, right?
Oh, I just wrote a piece for
the Toronto Star. Like, you know, no big deal.
Boom, boom, boom. Because this is a multi-hyphenate here. And I wanted to talk more about you as a writer and a producer and soon to be a director, I understand. Yes. Can you tell us more about that? Because I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I love you all so much for putting a witness on me, as only women in our community can. I have decided, and for a long time, you know, the power comes from writing your own projects. And you see like Issa Rae and Quinta Brunson say, you know, I'm an actor, and also in my time in this industry, I want to create my own story. So for a while, I've been thinking I wanted to do that. And I started writing, and always my stories center women and Black women's voices. But I'm very excited and keen to usurp stereotypes about what you think you know about us. So I got a green light recently, my first green light for a series.
Yes.
You are getting the exclusive. Yes. I've not come out in the trades yet.
You're hearing it here first.
Well, hearing it here first with the sci-fi Sistas. I've created, written, I'm going to star in and direct this 4-part miniseries for the Canadian company Bell. And it's really nice because I have a slate of character-driven projects for film and TV that I'm developing through my production company, Hold One Entertainment. And they're all uplifting, empowering stories that really do center breaking the cycle in our communities, but not necessarily from a really morose or tragic or a trauma lens. The lens really is that I think women, especially women of color now in this moment in our history, have realized that we have the opportunity to heal our communities, to heal our families, to move forward. Like for me in my life, my mother is one of my best friends and she's young. My mom is in her 50s. But I know I'm a cycle breaker. So we talk all the time about those things. And just tonight, actually, we were talking about, the bags that were given to her and how she's undoing that. But I'm the cycle breaker in my family. So all of the stories for the Hold One Entertainment slate center on that. We have a mystery crime thriller series about missing and murdered women of color, Black women along the Windsor border. Yes. Nice. That has a happy ending because all three need to be needlessly bleak. And that incorporates some of my West African culture as well. But the series that I got a green light for is a rom-com that centers a woman of color, a biracial woman, and her interracial parents and the Black family. And I basically wrote that the Black father as an homage to my dad, who showed up on the scene with this white woman and these two wild-haired mixed. He's like, lady, I'm going to have to help you. With these children, and just came in. My dad, Cleophas Jerome Peebles, who came in. I was just 4 years old. I was like, I'm going to love these kids, and their whole family embraced us. And it's a rom-com, and it's nice to see a character of color just get to explore romance, and it's an adult coming of age. And I think we've been told so often in the world that by a certain age, you have to have certain boxes checked. You have to have your life figured out. And I think what we're realizing now, especially for women of color and Black women, is those rules don't apply.
No.
Those rules don't apply. I'm on my own timeline. We are on our own timeline because we have a whole scope of stuff that we are dealing with. And they tried to come, now we'll circle it back to Kamala Harris. They tried to come for this woman, Buddy, whatever his name is, saying that, if you don't have children, you don't know X, Z. Don't put your little bull crap on.
Thank you.
Don't do that.
Thank you.
So that's really the main message of the story is, for me in my 30s, like giving women the permission to not have to have everything figured out. Let go of the pressure of having to have checked certain boxes because those rules don't apply to us because they never did. Never did. And then she gets to, of course, kiss this beautiful Idris Elba style man. And then she's got her little, Brad Pitt kind of character in the cut. And we're going to see who she's going to pick.
I love a triangle.
I love it. I love it.
No, Sabrina loves a triangle.
I love it. I love it.
Come on now.
And Idris. Oh my gosh.
Tuning in. I'm waiting. Got my popcorn ready. Oh.
I can't wait.
That is the multi-hyphenate bag that I am in at the moment. And I'm just excited because we talked about the coming home community and the coming home journey at the beginning, which is just, and obviously not to get super heavy, but the show, The Kings of Napa that I was on, there's this line that this character has, the Black patriarch of the family. And he says to his kids, what I want you to be able to have is some rest and to just chill.
Yes. I love that scene.
Like, honestly, even in the table read, hearing it, we were all like in tears because it's really meaningful. And it's one of those things that if you're going to be an ally and you don't understand where we come from, and you don't understand what happened to us, that's okay. But be an ally and show up and do your work, do your research, because it's not my job to teach you. But a moment like that is so powerful because that's what the coming home journey will teach you, is that you don't have to have it all figured out. You can just have trust and surrender. And I can have faith and say, and not just my Black ancestors, Newfoundland as a part of Canada that joined. My uncle was the premier that brought Newfoundland into the Confederation to join Canada. Newfoundland was just like its own island. Being so poor, like Martin Luther King Jr. really understood that. He would talk about the class issue and the poverty as being the really main issue.
Yep.
And to know that no matter where you come from, no matter what happened to you, you have the right to manifest your dreams. And to just say that what we owe ourselves as cycle breakers is to say, I'm going to have a little bit of trust. I'm going to have a little bit of surrender. And for me personally, Samora Smallwood, my legacy is not to worry and fret all the time.
Ooh.
That's hard. It's so hard.
It is.
Girl. Girl.
We got to get there.
Yeah.
Trust.
Trust, right? And trust it. I'm sitting here thinking like the generations of women that are on this Zoom right now. Right. And then and I'm thinking about like my mother's generation. Then I'm thinking like Sabrina and Fran, because my mother's a little bit older, and Sabrina and Fran, and then me and Yvette, and now you. And I'm like listening to this woman who is the youngest of us all. And I'm thinking about all that you've learned from the women who came before you, but what you're teaching us right now.
We say that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I'm here I am, 53 years old, and I need to hear the words that you just spoke. They're very healing.
Yeah.
We did not come up with these ideas as being acceptable in any way, form, or fashion. We have a lot of unlearning to do. And it's a beautiful thing to see the women who are coming after us, though, know this and know these truths and embrace them and look at us like, you crazy girl. Like, come on, this is, like, what you holding on to that for?
Right. Right.
Because of what they have seen us go through. Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I personally never think you are crazy, girl. I'm always thinking, what made us this way? And I actually just want to like myself a little bit. I just want to like myself a little bit while I'm here and actually realize that I'm worthy of that love and, as I am in this exact moment. And I can't remember who mentioned it earlier. I feel like I can't remember who it was, but someone on this call was saying how we take care of everybody else. And I was just talking to one of my dear friends who is one of my co-stars on The Kings of Napa, Yanni King Monshine, who is the most self-possessed, fabulous Black woman on the planet. She's amazing. And we were just talking yesterday about when you grow up as young girls, young Black girls, young women of color, and young girls, I'm sure in general, the affirmations you get for being able to handle it and being good and being a good girl and being able to take the lead, and a lot of that messaging that we receive, like just yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, we were talking about this. It just makes you so incapable of asking for help, and you're constantly being the savior for others and never the saved. Right. And I think like that shift that we're going through, because I have a lot of intergenerational friendships. So I'm glad that you put a witness on that to me, that, learning and hearing from the women that come before you and saying, oh, wow, okay. All right. That's how that worked. That's how that worked. And like my grandmother didn't have her own credit card.
Right.
Neither did mine.
Not long ago.
Exactly.
Make us convinced.
Really, neither did my mother.
Exactly. My mother couldn't either.
No.
That wasn't until the 70s.
It was the 70s.
Yeah, I remember I remember when I got one. I remember.
Wow.
Yeah, we were just coming out of school, and it was like, I can get a credit card. I remember when I bought my first home, and my father couldn't believe that I got the mortgage and signed the papers and did the whole thing by myself. He goes, you don't need me to co-sign something for you? I was like, no, Daddy, I don't. I just want you to come down and see the house. He's like,
come see it.
Wait, what? I will never forget the look on his face when I told him I did it all and I had the house. I had the keys. Let's go. Let's look at it. He was so proud of me.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sprinkling you, but I'm sprinkling me too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like 80, that was like 80, 89.
Wow.
And it was a big deal because I was, I was single. I had no husband. I was like, and that's like the kind of thing, like you say now, my generation, my dad was a homeowner. So I was like, well, I could be a homeowner because he owns the house. And I said, why are you so surprised that I'm owning the house, Dad? He's like, because you're the girl. Right. That's how it goes. But he never. My parents never treated me like that. Like I couldn't do something.
That's why.
Yeah, I had that mother that left her country and came here.
Yeah,
never saw her home again.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, never went. I always think of how crazy that was. I always tell her every time she said I had a crazy boyfriend, I was doing something crazy. I say, you left your country for this man. You got on a ship and came all the way over here for some brother that had sent you a couple of letters. So, look, say nothing, mother.
Those some good letters.
Right?
Very, very
they
good.
Went with her to the grave. So
men today need to learn from your father in those letters, because men today have a serious problem. Not my lover. My lover is fabulous. I'm just saying. I've
just
heard
saying.
these tweets from women.
Yes.
My partner is the founder of our production company. He's playing the Idris Elba type in this series.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Oh.
Or Nigerian, like animated brother, like
David
Nice.
Call a glass of water.
right. And that's a part of the representation too, because a lot of the times when you watch rom-coms or some of the networks that are known for having romance stories, you so rarely see people of color or Black men or a solid Black family unit on the show.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Black love. We need more Black love.
She's the best friend.
Yeah.
She's the best friend of the protagonist.
Of the person.
That's me.
Yeah.
But you saw Ronnie Rowe from Discovery. We saw him at the con last weekend. And I just remembered screaming when I saw him because he had played a Black prince in a Hallmark movie. I could not get over it. I could not get over it. So I kept saying, like, you were the Christmas prince. But they finally had a prince that was Black in a Hallmark movie.
He just smiled.
After I stopped screaming, I guess, he did. So
Ronnie Rowe is one of my boys. I've been friends with him for like a decade. We started
really
together. We are both Sagittarius, as Ronnie Rowe is born a couple of days after me. We always joke about that. He's a phenomenal person. So it makes total sense that you would fangirl when you meet him, because that's what I'm saying is you just want to trust. That trust thing that keeps coming back up for us goes both ways. It's on us to trust that God's Spirit has our backs, but also to trust the audience that, the audience will find these stories, that you can have those stories where you have, we can believe do you remember the Cinderella movie with Brandy?
Oh God!
Oh yes! We did a show on it.
We actually done a show on it.
That was one of my favorite movies. That was one of my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yes. Bridgerton, what Shonda Rhimes is doing, like just trust the audience, and our imagination can go to that place.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
I love Queen Charlotte. I love that. I've looked at it twice. I love that series.
Yeah,
it is.
I actually like it too.
Yeah, Queen Charlotte is dope.
And I love.
I don't really care for Bridgerton, but Queen Charlotte was.
I was about to say I like Queen Charlotte more than I like Bridgerton.
Yeah,
by far. Like because Bridgerton, I'm like I love with the representation and everything. Yeah. But I honestly I could do without all the sex. Like I don't care. I mean whatever. I could take it or leave it.
She's not speaking for everyone.
No, I mean, I could just take it or leave it for the story, Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's not nice to look at and everything. Yay, whoop-de-doo,
She's a writer.
Right.
And that season with Reggae he's very, very nice.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But let me tell you, go back to Ronnie right quick. Who was also very nice. He surprised us in Star Trek Las Vegas. He came over to the table and he's like, were you guys calling me? Like, I called calling you. That was the time when we were calling you, right? Like, so first he comes over to the table. He's like, taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around and I'm like, what, how can I help? And I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, it's me. And he's like standing there like, it's me. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, and then I'm like, everybody's talking to other people at the table. I'm like, Fran.
I wasn't there yet.
No, you weren't there yet. No, it was like, Fran's like, what? And I'm like, turn around. She's like, And then we're like, we got to get Sabrina. I'm like trying to gather the sisters from all the corners of the hall. And everybody's like, what? And I'm like, look. And they're like, oh. But he was so sweet and so kind and just a doll. Like, what a great spirit he's got. Like, he just
absolutely
hugged us and hugged us and hugged us. And I loved it.
That's from behind. It was like,
all the aunties were swooning.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we were.
We know and love Ronnie Rowe in this household, and that's pretty much all I can say about that.
And we're gonna let it be right there.
Right there. Right. That was more than enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
And anytime you see a project where, for me personally, we all have those moments where there's must-see TV and you are tuning in to watch a specific thing. But then sometimes you're just like, I've made a little dinner. I want to sit down. I want to watch something. I don't know what yet. What is it going to be?
Right.
For me, whenever you're flicking through and you see actors of color, especially Black actors, whether I recognize them, their household names or not, that's going to be the click for me. That is the click. And you want to trust audiences, because then when you have a good story and you watch and you're like, oh, this brother's very smoldery.
Yeah. We have been high on a series called Supercell. Over
You too?
Did the Holy Spirit
doesn't it mix all the things we love? It's got the sci-fi, it's got
everything.
The story,
the love, the everything.
Yeah.
I just announced they're getting season 2.
Yes.
Got the green light.
They got it.
Yeah.
We were going to be apoplectic if they didn't.
Right. They would have heard from some sisters.
They would have heard from some sisters.
It's so good. I just hate the way it ended.
I don't. It's not over. I keep thinking it's not over.
Maybe it's not. Maybe they're going to bend time and go in and figure that out, because it's so funny. Me as a very headstrong woman, and I would call myself, a feminist, whatever connotations that word has. My partner would say, why didn't she just get in the car and listen to this man? Why didn't she just listen to this man and leave? But then as a woman, that's your man. You're not going to leave.
Right.
No, she was not Dion.
Nope.
So I'm with you, Sabrina. I hope that there's going to be some time.
There's something.
But man,
we're going to turn time back.
Yes, there's time travel involved.
Something's going to happen. Listen, I still believe that Hemmer's alive. I know in my heart the life on that frozen planet. Yes.
Hammer is going to come back.
Hammer is going to come back.
It always comes back to Star Trek.
It always comes. First of all, know your audience. It always comes back to Star Trek. Oh my God.
It really does, though. Like, honestly, there are so many life lessons. I know it might sound cheesy, but there are so few shows that will have a life lesson for you. And you were mentioning earlier to turn on TV, like to go from the position of turning on TV, and a huge moment would be to see somebody who looked like you or could be like you, who's on TV in a leadership role, and to be where we are now. Like that meant something. Like, I was born in the late 80s and there weren't so many examples of that. And I'm so grateful that my mom would try and always find those examples to say, here are the books, here are the shows, here are the movies. Like, I was quite young when I watched a film called Much Ado About Nothing.
With Denzel?
My mom.
Girl.
Oh my God.
Denzel makes his interest in that film. There's absolutely nothing like it. There's no one ever like it.
Isn't.
My mom showed me that movie, and that's how I know that when your shorts get hot when you're little, you just know what team you're trying to play for, because Sir Denzel Washington walked into those little culotte things and had that swag and that attitude, and I was like, who is that?
We were like, what is going on?
He even rode a horse sexy. I'm
he did.
Yes.
You have not seen Much Ado About Nothing.
I was a mere child. I tell every friend of mine, if you have not seen Much Ado About Nothing and you claim to like Denzel Washington, you don't know what you're saying. But that was in my childhood where I knew, okay, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm into it. And my mom would then show me Denzel Washington films, Cry Freedom, and you just watch and be like,
Cry Freedom. Wow.
Cry Freedom. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it really does matter when you're watching stuff, whether it's a Star Trek or a Much Ado About Nothing, whatever you're watching, you see someone who looks like your family, who looks like the people in your lives, looks like you, and you're like, holy, it just does something. Even if you're too young to know what it's doing, it does
That's
something.
right.
It does.
That's right.
It does.
Even if you're too young, because what it does when you're young is it normalizes it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and then you realize like, oh, it's not a question of whether or not I can do it. I mean, we did a show, one of our earlier shows, and we were talking about the effect of, it was for Hofoco, for Trek Talks, and we were talking about Nichelle Nichols. And, you know, was it for Hofoco? We were talking about the generations, like how she affected each of us in our generations.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I was talking about, like, by the time I was born, you know, I was born in 1971. So I was watching Star Trek and syndication in the mid 1970s, late 1970s. And, you know, what she did for me was just normalize the fact, like, of course there would be a Black woman on the bridge, you know, and like it just made it seem like it wasn't an exception. You know, that's what it does when you're getting that knowledge when you're young. You don't have a problem with it.
And Sabrina and I were going, a Black woman at Brand.
What?
And so beautiful, the style, the hair, the makeup, the whole thing was just a
She was
vibe.
articulate. She was smart. And the guys listened to her. I didn't know she was communication officer at the time, but they was listening to her. I'm like, and they're listening to her.
That's actually a really big deal. The fact that men in this space listening to her, because as much progress as we've made, we're still in that place where, you know, you see the pendulum swing the other way, and there are people who fight against change and progress, and you're just like, are y'all fools still trying to do this? Like, you need to get a grip. Like, I know what's going on.
I mean, even like in our daily lives, like, you know, like bosses and have some say in what happens during the day at work, and you get, you know, who questions me? You're questioning all the time. Like, this is the directive. This is what I need you to accomplish today. Right. Why? Well, wouldn't it be better if I did it this way? What? No, this is not a debate. This is what needs to be done.
Absolutely. When you talk about those mentors that you have, I mentioned before, one of my mentors is Janine Sherman Bourgeois, who created Claws and Madam C.J. Walker and the Kings
Love
of
Claws.
Claws is good.
So good. Yeah. And The Big Cigar, that's currently on Apple TV. And her company is called Folding Chair Productions because of Shirley Chisholm. That's her inspiration. Bring your folding chair to the table if they don't pull a seat up for you. But I remember walking across the Warner Brothers lot with Janine, and just the project that I've recently got greenlit was just in its gestation stage. I was pitching it, I was writing it, and she was very graciously looking at my script and going to give me notes as a good mentor.
Nice.
She's written, if you look at this woman's IMDb, she is a prolific writer.
It's crazy. I'm like, oh my God, you know her? Oh my God.
Yeah, and she will to be generous like that and say, okay, you're a woman of color, you're on the come up making your own projects, I'm going to peel off this time for you. And at the time, like, we're talking about when Huey P. Newton's widow is coming to the Warner Brothers lot to pre-screen the episodes of The Big Cigar. Like, this is a big moment in her life.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of lamenting about imposter syndrome. And sometimes you need somebody to just check you, like a reality check kind of a way. And she just looked at me. She's like, we don't do that here. I understand, you know, we all go through it, because certainly in her journey, she has gone through that. We're all human. We all do. But she was just telling me we don't do that here.
She's erasing it for you.
Right? In a loving way. And so now that gift passed on for me, she paid it forward, because when I'm sitting here in my work, when I'm not on set, when I'm not doing fancy things, and I'm here just creating, that reverberates in my brain. That is a Black woman who has not only made it to the station she has made it to in her busy life, is literally in the Hollywood Reporter the other day, showing up for Kamala Harris, like creating stories about and for Black people, and said to me, like, that reverberates in my brain. Don't even give that airtime.
Oh, that's right.
She is huge. You know, it's funny because her show Claws is what got me to create my alter ego, the Cinnamon Cinephile.
Wow.
Claus is really?
I didn't know that.
Claus. Yeah, I
didn't know
well,
that either.
why would you know that? But
Because we know you for like how many years now? Like you would think we knew the origin story.
We were watching the interview of the cast of Claus, and we were all about it. My friend Angela, and we were just like, "This show is the best show! Oh my God, where is this show coming from?" And the interviewer was so bad that we wanted to choke him, we were just really losing interest in the interview of these Black women. And it was a Black man, as a matter of fact, but he was just so hard on this one question that he wanted to ask one of the stars. She had dated Chris Brown. He couldn't get past this. Of all the things that they were doing in this,
what?
right? He kept asking her about Chris Brown, and I'm like, oh my God!
Wow.
And my friend said to me, "Well, if you hate it that much, why don't you do it yourself?"
Oh.
And we sat there and I said, well, maybe I just will become somebody that interviews people because I come up with some better questions than this fool right here. Sat there and we brainstormed and we came up with the name, the Cinnamon Cinephile, and that I was going to do all this stuff with movies. And lo and behold, here we are manifesting. But it was Claus. It was that show.
That's a good show.
And I never put it together until you and I, we were just having this conversation. I was like, you know what?
Your profile, I was like, I want to know what that is, where that came from. And then look at that. The universe just landed a plane for me. But that was like, honestly, people don't talk about that enough, I think, and especially in our community. I try and make it a point to talk about money when I'm working on a project and find out, what are you making? Here's what I'm making. Yep. We were taught so much to keep that as like hush hush, but I think that was just to keep us,
So we didn't know how little we were making.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I found out some things. I have found out.
No, you did.
Since having transparency in that area. But the other reason why I like to talk about mentors is not just a flex because I have one of the coolest ones in the world, but also because I think we need to know how important that is to find people who have been where you're trying to go and doing the thing that you're doing. So to create those kind of worlds. And it's not a surprise to me that at the time I wasn't even going to tape because I thought there's no way I belong in this world. I'm not Black enough for this woman. And to say, I'm going to just step up to the plate, and regardless of the fear I'm feeling, I'm going to do my very best and see what happens. And then to be having a conversation with someone like that, and to hear that Oprah Winfrey's mandate and all of these amazing, prolific Black creators and leaders are saying that we want to show the spectrum of Blackness. And then the moment we're in history right now is saying that we are claiming our stuff. Like this is our moment.
With our own production companies, with our own showrunners, with you showrunner now,
everything.
Right?
With everything.
The global landscape of the world, that from my house, I'm watching the speeches at home and I'm feeling the emotions that so many different people are feeling, because that feeling that I have, that you have, that you have, that you have, that you have, no one takes. No one takes. The private conversations I've had to hear from someone to say, no, my God, you're our Mariah Carey. You belong. It's huge. Mm-hmm. So it's a big deal to say to somebody else who feels like an outsider or who feels like, they don't belong. And that is why a Star Trek is so important. It says, like, in this world, in this place, Black people belong.
Yep. Yes. Oh, that's perfect. See, that's the bow on top, right? That's the cherry. That's the perfect place, because it's everything. That's why we exist.
Brought it around.
She brought it around, my girl, right back to Star Trek. Yeah. But we want to thank you so much for that. I mean, like, honestly, like, we really could talk. Like, I feel like we know you now, like, and we love you. Like, and I'm really looking forward to a time when we can actually meet each other in person.
Oh, yeah.
And do it.
At the inauguration.
Right.
We got to meet up.
We've been talking about that, how my sister and I, how we're going to put wheels to pavement and get there.
Well, people in DC now, if you can't find a hotel room.
I'm like that girl who hates to impose on anybody, but I am a lovely house guest and I bring treats.
Plan B, just in case.
Right.
And when this woman became vice president, I shed tears on that day. So
that's right. We sure did. I sure did.
Mm-hmm. Same. And she was definitely qualified.
Yeah, that's the thing.
She's wholly qualified.
Absolutely. 100 million trillion percent.
Yep.
I'm not even going to go off on like the craziness that I was watching after the inauguration. People talking about, like, well, did she present presidential and did she have enough qualifications? Like, anyway,
you shouldn't. You don't watch. Don't watch that stuff.
I didn't. I turned it off.
Yeah.
It was just on like before I could get to the remote and turn it off. That's all.
They got it too quick for you.
Yeah,
they got it in too quick.
Whether they're your own family or not, to protect your peace is such a valuable part of my personal legacy. So I'm in that place now where, it's not my job to teach you if you're so unwilling to learn, because we could spend 40 minutes talking about it. And the cool thing about this Win with Black Women call they do every Sunday night is they give you PDFs of this woman's accomplishments and policies. And so I'm not trying to hear that. Like, I'm not going to get into the mud with you because you've actually to hear it. You want to have another conversation, and I'm not with that.
That's right.
That is such a powerful call every Sunday.
It is.
So here's the PDF. And if you have allies like my Baldwin giving mother, like my mom is turning 60 this year, actually, and I'm taking her to France, and she doesn't.
I hope she's not listening to this before you.
She knows we're going to France. She doesn't know that we're going to Baldwin's home in St. Paul de Vence.
Oh, wow.
And I am obsessed with Baldwin. He's like, his writing is like a friend. If I feel down or sad, you go back to reading a little bit of Baldwin. And that's just what it's going to be. We're going to go, and I'm going to take her there. And I got so excited about that story about how we're going to go there because I've never been, that I forgot the plane that I was landing. But the main point is,
I love that.
The main point is,
well, there's probably going to be some
really
cool stuff. It's kind of like birthdays this year, so there's probably going to be more stuff there, and it's going to be great.
Oh my God. You're amazing. I mean, I'm so grateful that you said yes, you wanted to be on the show, and that you came and spent this time with us. And then, so other people can know you in a more fuller context, like we Trekkies, like we're like, it's all about the Trek a lot of times, but one of our jobs is to bring people out in a fuller light, and, it's been wonderful talking to you, and
I feel like we're all friends now. I could stay for hours.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah.
And you got it already, but your aunties are telling you, don't you ever let anybody tell you that you're not. Anytime those anxieties come out, you got four new gals got your back.
Right.
And we have it on record here that you've said.
That's right.
I'm not joking. My sister and I were just talking about it, like, especially after the official accepting of the nomination. I was like, this is super real.
This is super real. Yeah.
We didn't know before. I think we know now.
Real.
So
that's right.
We need to be making more plans.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have to get a real sleeper couch.
Right? Yes, you are. Because I can't sleep on that couch no more.
I know. I hadn't expected. I was like, let me pay for Vegas first, and then but nope.
I need to get the guests to Coach Marj fixed here in these apartments.
Don't tell your other friends.
I'm a fabulous cook, and just last night I made lemon pepper sesame tofu chicken.
Oh my God.
I'm a plant-based eater, but I know how to make delicious food. I will do whatever it takes. I'm so grateful to have been here and to have this fulsome conversation about all of the things I literally am the most passionate about.
I love it. Yay. You see how that works? Do for each other.
That's it.
Sister Yvette, do you want to tell people where they can reach us if they have thoughts on any of the myriad topics that we covered tonight?
I sure do. You can find us at sci-fisistas.com. That's SYFYSISTAS.com. Join us on the mothership. That's MUTHASHIP. And the Sci-Fi Sistas Book Club, both on Facebook. On Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, sci-fi.sistas. And we are also on that platform, formerly known as Twitter, at Sci-Fi Sistas. For more interviews, the live show, and our infamous Top 10 series, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sci-Fi Sistas Inc. Become a patron of Sci-Fi Sistas today at patreon.com/Sci-Fi Sistas. The Trek Geeks Network's presenting sponsor is Fansets. Go to Fansets for pins and memorabilia from all your favorite franchises. Visit fansets.com and use Trek Geeks, all caps, for your exclusive 10% discount. After listening to this podcast, please rate us and write a review. We may just read it on an upcoming episode.
And we need to give thanks to our associate producers who help make every show run. That's Sailor Marj, Stephanie Baker, and Karen Dramera. We love you gals. We're so excited and grateful for you. We also got to give a shout out to the baddest engineer in any and all known universes. That's Dose, the anonymous one. Yay. Dose. He's responsible for all the music you hear on our show, as well as for the production services. And if you need him, look him up on Instagram at dose_the_anonymous_1. That's the number 1, y'all. And we love you very much. We love you, Samora Smallwood. And we're out of here. Peace, love, and hair grease.